The 2004 Summer Olympic Games, officially known as the Games of the 28th Olympiad and commonly known as Athens 2004, was a premier international multi-sport event held in Athens, Greece, from 13 to 29 August 2004 with the motto "Welcome Home." 10,625 athletes competed, some 600 more than expected, accompanied by 5,501 team officials from 201 countries. There were 301 medal events in 28 different sports. Athens 2004 marked the first time since the 1996 Summer Olympics that all countries with a National Olympic Committee were in attendance. 2004 marked the return of the Games to the city where they began. A new medal obverse was introduced at these Games, replacing the design by Giuseppe Cassioli that had been used since the 1928 Games. This rectified the long-lasting mistake of using a depiction of the Roman Colosseum rather than a Greek venue. The new design features the Panathenaic Stadium. The 2004 Summer Games were hailed as unforgettable Dream Games by IOC President Jacques Rogge, and left Athens with a significantly improved infrastructure, including a new airport, ring road, and subway system. The final tally was led by the United States, followed by China and Russia, with host Greece at 15th place. Several world and Olympics records were broken during the Games. Several concerns were raised over the preparations of the Games, and these included excessive budget overruns, infrastructural compromise, and delays in construction of the main Games venues. The Games were deemed generally successful, with the rising standard of competition amongst nations across the world. Host city selection. Athens was chosen as the host city during the 106th IOC session held in Lausanne on 5 September 1997. Athens had lost its bid to organize the 1996 Summer Olympics to Atlanta nearly 7 years before, on 18 September 1990. During the 96th IOC session in Tokyo, 1996 coincided with the 100th anniversary of the first modern Olympics, which were also held in Athens. Under the direction of Gianna Angelopoulos Daskalaki, Athens pursued another bid, this time for the right to host the Summer Olympics in 2004. The success of Athens in securing the 2004 Games was based largely on Athens' appeal to Olympic history and the emphasis that it placed on the pivotal role that Greece and Athens could play in promoting Olympism and the Olympic movement. Furthermore, unlike the bid for the 1996 Games, which was largely criticized for its overall disorganization and arrogance, wherein the bid lacked specifics and relied largely upon sentiment and the notion that it was Athens' right to organize the Centennial Games, the bid for the 2004 Games was lauded for its humility and earnestness, its focused message, and its detailed bid concept. The 2004 bid addressed concerns and criticisms raised in its unsuccessful 1996 bid, primarily Athens' infrastructural readiness, its air pollution, its budget, and politicization of Games preparations. Athens' successful organization of the 1997 World Championships in athletics the month before the host city election was also crucial in allaying lingering fears and concerns among the sporting community and some IOC members about its ability to host international sporting events. Another factor which also contributed to Athens' selection was a growing sentiment agreement among some IOC members to restore the values of the Olympics to the Games, a component which they felt was lost during the heavily criticized over-commercialization of Atlanta 1996 Games. Subsequently, the selection of Athens was also motivated by a lingering sense of disappointment among IOC members regarding the numerous organizational and logistical setbacks experienced during the 1996 Games. After leading all voting rounds, Athens easily defeated Rome in the fifth and final vote. Cape Town, Stockholm, and Buenos Aires, the three other cities that made the IOC shortlist, were eliminated in prior rounds of voting. 6 other cities submitted applications, but the bids were dropped by the IOC in 1996. These cities were Istanbul, Lille, Rio de Janeiro, San Juan, Seville, and St. Petersburg. Development and preparation costs. The 2004 Summer Olympic Games cost the government of Greece €8.954 billion to stage, according to the cost-benefit evaluation of the impact of the Athens 2004 Olympic Games presented to the Greek Parliament in January 2013 by the Minister of Finance Mr. Yanis Stornaris. The overall net economic benefit of the Games for Greece was positive. The Athens 2004 Organizing Committee, responsible for the preparation and organization of the Games, concluded its operations as a company in 2005 with a surplus of €130.6 million. ATHOC contributed €123.6 million of the surplus to the Greek state to cover other related expenditures of the Greek state in organizing of the Games. As a result, ATHOC reported in its official published accounts a net profit of €7 million. The state's contribution to the total ATHOC budget was 8% of its expenditure against an originally anticipated 14%. The overall revenue of ATHOC, including income from tickets, sponsors, broadcasting rights, merchandise sales, etc., totaled €2,098.4 million. The largest percentage of that income came from broadcasting rights. The overall expenditure of ATHOC was €1,967.8 million. Often analysts refer to the cost of the Olympic Games by taking into account not only the organizing committee's budget directly related to the Olympic Games, but also the cost incurred by the hosting country during preparation, i.e., the large projects required for the upgrade of the country's infrastructure, including sports infrastructure, roads, airports, hospitals, power grid, etc. This cost, however, is not directly attributable to the actual organization of the Games. Such infrastructure projects are considered by all fiscal standards as fixed asset investments that stay with the hosting country for decades after the Games. Also, in many cases these infrastructure upgrades would have taken place regardless of hosting the Olympic Games, although the latter may have acted as a catalyst. It was in this sense that the Greek Ministry of Finance reported in 2013 that the expenses of the Greek state for the Athens 2004 Olympic Games, including both infrastructure and organizational costs, reached the amount of €8.5 billion. The same report further explains that €2 billion of this amount was covered by the revenue of the ATHOC and that another €2 billion was directly invested in upgrading hospitals and archaeological sites. Therefore, the net infrastructure costs related to the preparation of the Athens 2004 Olympic Games was €4.5 billion, substantially lower than the reported estimates, and mainly included long-standing fixed asset investments in numerous municipal and transport infrastructures. On the revenue side, the same report estimated estimates that incremental tax revenues of approximately €3.5 billion arose from the increased activities caused by the Athens 2004 Olympic Games during the period 2000 to 2004. These tax revenues were paid directly to the Greek state, specifically in the form of incremental social security contributions, income taxes and VAT tax paid by all the companies, professionals, and service providers that were directly involved with the Olympic Games. Moreover, it is reported that the Athens 2004 Olympic Games have had a great economic growth impact on the tourism sector, one of the pillars of the Greek economy, as well as in many other sectors. The final verdict on the cost of the Athens 2004 Olympic Games, in the words of the Greek Minister of Finance, is that, as a result from the cost-benefit analysis, we reach the conclusion that there has been a net economic benefit from the Olympic Games. Construction by late March 2004, some Olympic projects were still behind schedule, and Greek authorities announced that a roof it had initially proposed as an optional, non-vital addition to the aquatics center would no longer be built. The main Olympic Stadium, the designated facility for the opening and closing ceremonies, was completed only 2 months before the Games opened. This stadium was completed with a retractable glass roof designed by Spanish architect Santiago Calatrava. The same architect also designed the velodrome and other facilities. Infrastructure, such as the tram line linking venues in southern Athens with the city proper, and numerous venues were considerably behind schedule just 2 months before the Games. The subsequent pace of preparation, however, made the rush to finish the Athens venues one of the tightest in Olympics history. The Greeks, unperturbed, maintained that they would make it all along. By July-August 2004, all venues were delivered. In August, the Olympic Stadium was officially completed and opened. It preceded by the official completion and openings of other venues within the Athens Olympic Sports Complex, and the sports complexes in Faleiro and Helliniko. Late July and early August witnessed the Athens tram become operational, and the system provided additional connections to those already existing between Athens and its waterfront communities along the Saronic Gulf. These communities included the port city of Piraeus, Ios Kosmos, Helliniko, and the Faleiro Coastal Zone Olympic Complex. The upgrades to the Athens Ring Road were also delivered just in time, as were the expressway upgrades connecting Athens proper with peripheral areas such as Markopoulo. The newly constructed Eleftherios Venizelos International Airport, Chinias, Marousi, Parnitha, Galatsi, and Volodymeni. The upgrades to the Athens Metro were also completed, and the new lines became operational by midsummer. EMI released Unity, the official pop album of the Athens Olympics, in the lead-up to the Olympics. It features contributions from Sting, Lenny Kravitz, Moby, Destiny's Child, and Avril Lavigne. EMI has pledged to donate $180,000 from the album to UNICEF's HIV/AIDS program in sub-Saharan Africa. At least 14 people died during the work on the facilities. Most of these people were not from Greece. Before the Games, Greek hotel staff staged a series of one-day strikes over wage disputes. They had been asking for a significant raise for the period covering the event being staged. Paramedics and ambulance drivers also protested. They claimed to have the right to the same Olympic bonuses promised to the security force counterparts. Torch relay. The lighting ceremony of the Olympic flame took place on the 25th of March in ancient Olympia. For the first time ever, the flame traveled around the world in a relay to former next, and later Olympic cities and other large cities, before returning to Greece. Mascots. Mascots have been a tradition at the Olympic Games since the 1968 Winter Olympics in Grenoble, France. The Athens Games had two official mascots, Athena and XXVIII. The sister and brother were named after Athena, the goddess of wisdom, strategy and war, and Phoebus, the god of light and music, respectively. They were inspired by the ancient Daedala, which were dolls that had religious connotations as well as being toys. Online coverage. For the first time, major broadcasters were allowed to serve video coverage of the Olympics over the Internet, provided that they restricted this service geographically to protect broadcasting contracts in other areas. For instance, the BBC made the complete live coverage available to UK high-speed Internet customers for free. Customers in the US were only able to receive delayed excerpts. The International Olympic Committee forbade Olympic athletes, as well as coaches, support personnel and other officials, from setting up specialized weblogs and/or other websites for covering the personal perspective of the Games. They were not allowed to post audio, video, or photos that they had taken. An exception was made if an athlete already has a personal website that was not set up specifically for the Games. NBC launched its own Olympic website, nbcolympics.com. Focusing on the television coverage of the Games, it did provide video clips, medal standings, live results. Its main purpose, however, was to provide a schedule of what sports were on the many stations of NBC Universal. The Games were on TV 24 hours a day on one network or another. Technology. As with any enterprise, the organizing committee and everyone involved with it relied heavily on technology in order to deliver a successful event. ATHOC maintained two separate data networks, one for the preparation of the Games and one for the Games themselves. The technical infrastructure involved more than 11,000 computers, over 600 servers, 2,000 printers, 23,000 fixed-line telephone devices, 9,000 mobile phones, 12,000 Tetra devices, 16,000 TV and video devices and 17 video walls interconnected by more than 6,000 kilometers of cabling. This infrastructure was created and maintained to serve directly more than 150,000 ATHOC staff, volunteers, Olympic family members, partners and AMP sponsors and media. It also kept the information flowing for all spectators, TV viewers, website visitors and newsreaders around the world, prior and during the Games. The media center was located inside the Zapeion, which is a Greek national exhibition center. Between June and August 2004, the technology staff worked in the Technology Operations Center from where it could centrally monitor and manage all the devices and flow of information, as well as handle any problems that occurred during the Games. The TOC was organized in teams under a TOC director and corresponding team leaders. The TOC operated on a 24/7 basis with personnel organized into 12-hour shifts.